Welcome back, everyone. In our previous class, we discussed the various functions of language, like how it informs, expresses, directs, and performs. Today, we will go a little deeper into how language shapes emotions, opinions, and disputes, and how ambiguity can make reasoning unclear. Emotive language. Emotive language refers to words or expressions that carry emotional weight. That is, they evoke the feelings rather than just conveying the facts. For example, compare two sentences. The very first sentence is that the government increased taxes, and the second sentence is the government burdened the people with unfair taxes. The first sentence is neutral, simply stating a fact. The second uses an emotive language. Words like burdened and unfair add the emotional value and bias in it. Emotive language is common in politics, advertising, and everyday arguments as well. Its purpose is often to influence opinion rather than to inform. Let us discuss some of the examples of emotive words like freedom versus chaos, patriot versus extremist, slim versus skinny, frugal versus stingy. Notice how each pair refers to a similar idea but carries a very different emotional tone. The other is the neutral language. Neutral language, on the other hand, aims to describe the facts more objectively without any kind of emotional coloring. For instance, Ahmed spends carefully. That's neutral. But if we say Ahmed is stingy, it is emotional and it implies a kind of a judgment. Neutral language is essential in science, law, and logic. Why? Because it focuses on accuracy and fairness. Now, the question arises that why and how emotive language causes problems in logic. The answer is that in logical reasoning, emotive language can make weak arguments sound strong. It appeals to emotion instead of reasoning or instead of just reason. For instance, any person who doesn't supports this law is unpatriotic. This statement basically discourages the rational analysis by triggering fear or guilt. As critical thinkers, we must identify such emotional manipulation and separate it from factual reasoning. Many disagreements in the domain of language and logic arise not just from the facts, but from the language confusion as well. So it is quite right to state that people often argue. Why? Because they attach different meanings or emotions to the same words. For example, one person says he is a patriot, while another one replies, no, he is a nationalist. Both may be referring to a similar behavior, but the emotional meanings differ. To avoid such disputes, we must clarify the meaning of key terms before arguing about them. There are certain kind of disputes when we are discussing the domain of the language. Like the very first kind of this disputes is the verbal dispute. I'm very much sure that you must be aware of it. A verbal dispute occurs when people disagree not about reality but about the meaning of the words. For instance, two friends argue whether a whale is a fish. Once they check the definition, a whale is a mammal. The dispute disappears. The disagreement wasn't about the animal, but about the word that was used to describe it. Factual disputes are another kind of disputes, and in factual disputes, the disagreement is about the truth of the claim, not about the meaning of the words. For instance, the earth is flat. No, the earth is round. Here, both understand the words clearly, they just disagree about the fact. As a critical thinkers, we should identify whether a dispute is verbal or factual so that we can handle it properly. Let us discuss what is ambiguity and its effects. Like ambiguity means having more than one possible meaning. It can occur in single words, phrases, or entire sentences. So you see, the sentences can be ambiguous. Let us move further. Uh, but before moving further, let me state it that ambiguity can cause misunderstanding, humor, or even manipulation in the arguments. Some people present certain kind of arguments that are ambiguous to the core so that to confuse the others. So there are certain kinds of ambiguity. Like the very first type of the ambiguity is lexical ambiguity that occurs when a single word has more than one meaning. For instance, bank, it could mean a river bank or a financial institution. The other type of ambiguity is the synetic ambiguity. It occurs when sentence structure basically causes confusion. For instance, flying planes can be dangerous. So this means that is it dangerous to fly planes, or are planes that are flying are dangerous? Then the third kind of ambiguity is the pragmatic ambiguity. It occurs when the context is unclear. For instance, can you open the window? It might be a request or a question, depending on the tone and the situation. To communicate clearly and argue logically, we have to make it sure that we are avoiding any kind of emotional bias. And what we can do is that we have to define the key terms before undergoing any kind of discussion. We have to use neutral language when presenting arguments. And not only this, we have to identify and remove the unnecessary emotional words. And we may be required to rephrase the ambiguous statements for the purpose of making clarity as well. For instance, instead of saying that he is not honest, say he lied about his qualifications. The second is factual and more clear. As the students of logic, our goal is to reason clearly and fairly. So language is a medium of thought. If our language is vague or emotional, overthinking will be too. Our thinking will be too. By mastering neutral expression and identifying ambiguity, we sharpen both our communication and reasoning skills. So to summarize, we may state that emotional or emotive language influences emotions, while neutral language presents facts, and many disputes arise from confusion over meanings, not real disagreements about the facts. And ambiguity can distort arguments and must be identified and eliminated. A logical thinker always strives for clarity, neutrality, and precision in the language. That's what makes reasoning valid, communication effective, and dialogue respectful. Thank you for listening.